So yesterday we had discussed about the instability and the stability parameter. Now, stability or instability, whatever it is, it is related to the transition from laminar to turbulence. So the presence of disturbance will initiate an unstable condition, and when once it gets amplified, then the flow will transform from laminar to turbulent. So there are two conditions that are required. One is the presence of initial disturbance and its amplification. So if suppose a disturbance is present and it initiates to get amplified, but any superimposed disturbance, if it is damped, then the flow will become stable. So it continues to be laminar. So these are the people who have studied on various aspects of this stability. So the disturbance now, which we are talking, may be due to two reasons. One is the change in the velocity, or there may be pressure fluctuations. So velocity fluctuations and pressure fluctuations. So these are the two agencies that will lead to the initial disturbance and then the further amplification of the disturbance. So the stability analysis can be carried out by considering an energy balance method or method of small disturbances. So energy loss, if you consider, it will take in two ways. One is the viscous dissipation or energy gain from main flow. So the energy loss can be controlled by viscous dissipation or gain from main flow. So therefore the stability depends upon the rate of viscosity, the magnitude of viscosity. So in the energy method, we consider these two aspects, the viscous dissipation or gain from the main flow. In the method of small disturbances, calculations are made about development of disturbances with time, making use of equation of motion. So that means Navier-Stokes equations. Now let us consider a two-dimensional laminar flow. Now, when it is two-dimensional laminar, so laminar flow means there are no fluctuations. So the velocity is only mean velocity. You will not have u bar and u prime, right? So consider the condition that u bar is u bar of y and p bar is p bar of x and y, and v bar is 0. So we are considering a simple case. So these conditions are strictly satisfied by steady laminar flow between parallel plates and approximately by laminar boundary layer flow on a flat plate. When we have considered the flow between parallel plates and the development of laminar boundary layer on a flat plate, these are the conditions which we have used or considered. Okay, these are the conditions we have considered. These are the conditions which we have considered. Now, upon this main flow, now we are having a study. Let me not call study a laminar flow, not flow. Okay, so upon this main flow, there is only one main flow. There is no fluctuating component. So upon this main flow, if we superimpose some two-dimensional disturbance given by u prime is equal to u prime of xyt and v prime is equal to v prime of xyt and p prime is equal to p prime of xyt. So that means we are assuming that there is an initial fluctuating component either in u or in v or in p or on all these three. Okay. So let us consider all the three simultaneously, right? Now you remember that V bar is 0. V bar is 0. So once we consider these disturbances given here, so you can superimpose these things, you can combine these things with the conditions given in 1. So that the velocity u bar will now become u, because originally it was only u bar, but now u bar is now u is equal to, there is u bar and over and above u bar there is a fluctuating component u prime. So therefore this is the condition which you get. Similarly, for V, you will get only V prime because V bar is considered to be 0. And similarly, P will be P bar plus P prime. So, with this, let us proceed further. So now we have U is equal to U bar plus U prime, V is equal to V prime, P is equal to P bar plus P prime. If you desire, you can also consider here for V, you can also write, no problem, but for simplicity, we are taking only this case. So for a rigorous analysis, we can use like this. Okay, but for the time being, let us not enter into that complex situation. So let us assume that the main motion and the resulting motion described by equation 3. What is equation 3? Equation 3 is this one. This is equation 3. So this satisfies the Navier-Stokes equations. So now you have to note that this u prime, v prime and p prime are sufficiently small so that the quadratic terms in fluctuating components can be neglected in comparison with the lower order terms. Because now we are interested in an initial disturbance, small disturbance. So let us consider u prime, v prime and p prime are sufficiently small. So now what we do is, we substitute these things. Now, now you recall hello? Hello? Evru? Okay. So, you must remember that the Navier-Stokes equations substituting equation 3 in Navier-Stokes equations and dropping higher order terms, eliminating the pressure from the resulting equation, it can be shown that u prime v prime would satisfy this equation. Now here you must uh, do a lot of homework. See, you take your original Navier-Stokes equation and then substitute this in that equation and simplify. So if you do that, you will get this equation. You will get this equation. So to save time, I am not going into the details. Okay, you can work it out. One point I would like to tell you here is that dou by dou t of u bar is equal to 0. Right? Dou by dou t of u bar is equal to 0. So now why we get here two terms? If you recall your equation, the left-hand side is local acceleration term. Local acceleration term is dou by dou t of u. Right? So this will be written as u bar plus u prime. Now here, one minute. Just give me a little time. Where did I give the material for you? Is it here or in some other place? Okay, anyhow, let me continue. Later we will see. So this is the equation. Now what we do is, you have here the velocities u, v, etc., etc. Now what I do is, I will define a stream function. A stream function psi. Now you know that psi always will present for any type of flow. Psi will be there for all flows. But You may not have velocity potential for all flows. Velocity potential will be only for irrotational flows. So there is no harm by assuming that for this flow there will exist a stream function. Okay. Now let us also consider the stream function. As you know, it is a scalar function of space and time. Space and time. So it can be any function. Now here what I am introducing is that I am identifying this stream function with the help of a function, some function. This is some function. This is an amplitude function. Phi is amplitude function, product of, this is an amplitude function, and this is a frequency type of function. That is the fluctuating part. Now, why I am doing this is that we know that our flow is tending towards turbulence. So there is a mean component and there is a fluctuating component. So whenever there is a fluctuating component means it is a type of variations. So these variations we can expect to have some frequency. So that is what I am introducing here. So therefore, I will identify the stream function with the help of a function which is a product of an amplitude parameter which is independent of x. This is only dependent on y. Then a fluctuating component which is having, which depends upon both x as well as t. So at any x and at any t, it will be having some value. So I have introduced two parameters, alpha and beta. So for different values of alpha and beta, you will get different types of flows. So here, phi is an amplitude function, which is a complex function, and the physical meaning is attached to only to the real part of the stream function. Then the fluctuating components u prime and v prime can now be expressed in terms of psi as u dash is equal to dou psi by dou y and v dash is equal to dou psi by dou x. So if I take this and go back to your equation, this equation, and substitute, you will get this. You will get this equation. All of you note it because it will be a little time taking, so you can verify later. Carefully, you have to sit and do it. Now here we have two terms, alpha and beta. We have alpha here and beta here. So alpha is a wave number, which will be 2 pi by lambda, where lambda is the wavelength. As I told, there will be a disturbance. So the disturbance will be nothing but a waveform. So it will have a wavelength. So that lambda is wavelength and alpha is called as wave number. 2 pi by lambda is wave number. Okay. Then beta now will contain two parts. Beta is associated with the time. So it will have a real and an imaginary part. So beta R is the frequency of the disturbance and beta I determines the degree of amplification. So here you just look at this. We have a waveform, so which has a amplitude which is given by your phi, and then it is a fluctuating part. So the fluctuating part will have a wavelength, and that wavelength is decided by alpha and the frequency. Now here in this frequency, there are two measures of this. One is the frequency of the disturbance, and the other is the degree of amplification of the disturbance. So that means how gradually the disturbance is increasing or decreasing. So there is a frequency of the disturbance and amplification of the disturbance and the amplitude of the wave or of the disturbance wave. So these three parameters are there. So one parameter is phi y, other parameter is alpha, the third parameter is beta. Beta consists again two things, frequency and degree. So now let us replace beta and alpha by defining what is known as C is equal to beta by alpha. So I can write CR is equal to I plus CI. So what is CR? CR is the velocity propagation of the wave in the x direction, and depending on its sign, CI determines the degree of damping or amplification of the disturbance. So there is velocity of propagation of a disturbance, and then the magnitude of the degree of damping or degree of amplification. So CR and CI. Now for a boundary layer on a flat plate, this equation 6 1 minute. Okay, anyhow, leave it. So for a boundary layer on flat plate, this equation 6 it can be non-dimensionalized by using a free stream velocity u naught. 1 minute. So if we divide this by u bar, u naught, both on left hand side as well as right hand side. Okay, so that equation will now take this form. See this form. You can see, 1 minute. What I will do is I will copy that and I will paste it here. So this is the equation 6. So this is equation 6. Now you just see, I have written the same thing. See, here we are having u bar. Here also I have written u bar. Here I am having C. Here also I have written C. Right? So that means what I have done is I have simply replaced by u naught. So this is nothing but actually your u bar by u naught. This is actually C by u naught. Okay. And alpha, so we are non-dimensionalizing. So alpha, we are non-dimensionalizing with respect to delta. See, alpha, what is it? Here we have alpha. So what is this alpha? Here we have indicated alpha being the wavelength, alpha being wave number. So this wave number, how it is dependent or how it will vary if you have a flow. So this is how the disturbance is. So whatever is disturbance, it is with respect to this direction, y direction. So any parameter, any length parameter in y direction, if we want to non-dimensionalize, we have to non-dimensionalize with our boundary layer thickness because we are considering the boundary layer flow. So therefore, we have used here so therefore we have used here delta. And when we are dividing by u naught on this side, we have to non-dimensionalize here also. So here also we have to use wherever this is there, here in this part, I have to divide by u naught. So if I perform that operation, this will become along with this and with this, so this is what you will get. So this equation will take this shape, right? Now here, where in equation 7, u bar is u bar by u naught, c is c by c u naught, alpha is alpha times delta, and re is u naught delta rho by mu. Now here you must realize that we have used the Reynolds number, and while defining the Reynolds number, I used delta here because our disturbances, whatever we are talking, will depend upon this so-called Reynolds number, which varies at any given x with respect to this y. So therefore, when we want to define Reynolds number, the characteristic length dimension will now be with respect to our y direction, which is nothing but delta. So that is the reason why we define Reynolds number in this way. Otherwise, what we have defined Reynolds number earlier, R is equal to Rx, we have written Rx is rho u naught x by mu, we have written. So we have written x by mu. But here now, right, we will replace this x by delta. The reason is we want to consider the effect of variation in the y direction. So therefore, we have used delta. Here all derivatives are with respect to, now, the derivatives which we are saying here, phi double dashed, u double dashed, phi to the power of 4, phi double dash, all these things are with respect to the non-dimensional parameter eta, that is y by delta. So this equation 7, as you can see, it is a fourth order ordinary differential equation. Why ordinary? It is only with respect to eta. All the derivatives are with respect to eta only. Now, these are called as Orr-Sommerfeld equations for stability. So if you are asked to derive the equations for stability, you have to derive this equation. In equation, 1 minute. Okay. So in equation 7, the left hand side are due to pressure and inertia, while those are on right hand side are due to viscosity. You see, the left hand side consists of velocity and this all phi everything. This is due to the pressure function, pressure and velocity. On the right hand side, you can see it is Reynolds number. That means which is viscosity. So this is the viscous term. This is the viscous part. And this is the inertia part. So now what are the boundary conditions? You know very well our boundary conditions are this is y is equal to 0. Because our definition of y axis is this. And we have a boundary layer. So this is y is equal to delta. So we have r eta we have defined eta as y by so what is eta here? When y is equal to 0, eta is equal to 0. And at infinite distance, that is when y is equal to infinity, eta tends to also infinity. Of course, we have not used this condition, but at y is equal to delta, eta is equal to, what is eta? One. So at y is equal to 0, u dash and v both are 0. So using this, we can say that phi is equal to phi dash is equal to 0 when eta is 0. Similarly, at y is equal to infinity, the far off distance from the plate, u dash and v are again 0. So this also gives the condition phi is equal to phi dash is equal to 0 when eta is equal to infinity. Now, your equation 7 has 4 parameters. These parameters are C, C is one parameter, Reynolds number is another parameter, alpha is another parameter, alpha is another parameter. So, but C is actually comprised of two parts. CR and CA. So therefore, this is one, this is second, this is third, and this is the fourth parameter. So which are responsible for the amplification or damping of the disturbance. Right. So, of course, anyhow, our main parameter is this. So one can assume that RE and wavelength of the disturbance to be known. Let us assume that the Reynolds number is known and the initial disturbance, the wavelength of initial disturbance is known. So that means for a given combination of RE and alpha, solution of equation 7 using the boundary conditions, using these boundary conditions will give one eigenfunction phi eta and one complex eigenfunction corresponding to C. So there are two possible cases of now instability, because we have seen that there are one left hand side and the other right hand side, one about the inertia, the other about the viscosity, viscous. So we can identify two types of instabilities. One is a viscous instability and non-viscous instability, right? If you consider the right hand side terms to be absent, so that means what? Right hand side terms are viscous terms. So therefore, absence of terms on right hand side of equation 7 would physically mean that the effect of viscosity on the disturbance is not there. 1 minute. It doesn't mean that the viscosity, effect of viscosity is absent on the main flow. The main flow is still affected by viscosity, but only the fluctuating component which is generated due to this initial disturbance we are talking. So if the right hand side terms are 0, then it means that it is not due to viscosity. So this is possible when Reynolds number is large. Now the resulting equation now will become, so this equation, if you consider, this will be absent, so this will be 0. So this is your condition, u bar minus C into phi double dash minus alpha square phi minus phi u bar double dash is 0. This is what you will get. So such case of instability with boundary conditions, alpha is equal to 0 for eta is equal to 0 and phi is equal to 0 for eta is equal to infinity, was investigated by Rayleigh and Tolman. So the flow is regarded as possessing non-viscous instability. when it is unstable with influence of viscous terms omitted. That means here the right hand side of equation 7 is omitted. So therefore, this condition is due to non-viscous instability. So the instability is a consequence of frictionless stability. So fluid flow along a flat plate with increasing density upward is an example of non-viscous instability. So if the density is increasing upwards, then it will result in higher values of Reynolds number, and therefore the right hand terms will become 0, right? On the other hand, a flow is regarded as possessing viscous instability if it is unstable with the influence of viscous terms on the disturbance is included. So when it is a result of solution of equation 7, now that means the total, both left hand side and right hand side, when considered to be present, then it is viscous instability. So boundary layer flow on flat plate with zero or negative pressure gradient can become unstable due to viscous instability. Fluid flow along a flat plate with density increasing upwards is an example of non-viscous instability. Now, so this is about your two types of stabilities, concept of stability. So we have identified the amplitude and the wave number or wavelength and wave number and the frequency of the disturbance. Frequency of the disturbance and degree of amplification. So this we have considered, and it has resulted in our equation 7, which is split into two parts. The right hand side, viscous terms, and the left hand side, the inertia and pressure terms. Inertias are associated with velocities and accelerations. So this leads to us to two situations of instability. One is non-viscous instability and the other is viscous instability. So with this, we have we have discussed about the instability cases. Now the next topic for discussion is the statistical description of turbulence and certain definitions, followed by some basic concepts about probability distribution and some statistical parameters and the Reynolds conditions. Finally, using these Reynolds conditions, of course, we will define what is meant by stationarity and homogeneity in turbulent flow. And ultimately, we proceed for the Reynolds equations. So, tomorrow, I will be discussing about the statistical aspects of turbulence. And Thursday, I will be taking up the Reynolds equations. The Cancer notation, Reynolds equations. Perhaps this may take 2 days, Thursday and Friday. And of course, this all we have already discussed. We will be left with velocity distributions. These velocity distributions you have already studied in your undergraduate. So I will very briefly discuss these things. So tomorrow, if I finish early about the statistical and we be able to introduce Reynolds equations, maybe by Friday we can finish this. Okay. So I have already given you the material. You go through it, and if you have any doubts, you can contact me, give me a mail, and then also give me a call so that I can refer to your mail, and what specific doubt you have, I can discuss. We can discuss. Now you give me back your feedback and attendance confirmation. Is it clear to you? There may be, I know, it is a little bit difficult to follow because of the complexity of the equations. So coolly you sit and go through the material, right? Okay.